reentry journey, what would be one word to describe this journey?
Heartache.
Enriching.
Gratitude.
Unapologeticness.
Hope.
Elevating.
Passion.
Resilience.
Consistency.
I say transformation.
Determination.
Intention. My word is compassion.
Rebirth.
Intentional.
It's bigger than just walking down your probation and parole. It's changing your mindset, your lifestyle, and never returning to prison again. It's the reentry journey with Cardell Sims.
All right, man, we back with another episode of the reentry journey. And before we get started, this episode is brought to you by I'm So. Inspire, motivate, support others. That's what I do and strive to do every day, is to inspire, motivate, and also support someone. But let's get on into today's episode. Man, I was talking to our guest backstage, and the brother has an amazing story, and not only an amazing journey. The work that he's doing now is so important. He was about to put me on some things. I told him, hold on. Let's wait for the podcast. But no further ado, let's welcome to the reentry journey, Mr. Desmond Perry. Welcome to the reentry journey.
All right, what's going on, bro? How everybody doing out there?
Oh man, I'm doing pretty good. Explain to the people why you outside. What you telling me?
Yeah, so I was just talking to the brother, man, and I was telling him that, after spending so much time in prison, I love to be outside. I love to come outside, and right now this is my backdrop. Everybody, I get to come out of the office, and this is what I get to see. So I'm very fortunate and benefited, by way of this beautiful backdrop right here. So just sitting by the water, man, so I felt like, man, this would be the perfect place to hold this interview.
I ain't mad at you. Like I said, I know that's a great feeling to come from where you come from and to be able to say, come out my office and on a beautiful day like this, that can be touching. So where you from, Mr. Perry?
So I am originally born and raised in Landover, Maryland. That's right outside of D.C., right there by the Washington Commanders Stadium, Palmer Park, where famed boxer Sugar Ray Leonard, grew up at, and where he was at when he won his Olympic gold medal. That's where I'm originally from. But I'm out here right now in the Baltimore area servicing men and women out here.
Okay. And what was your upbringing like?
Man, my upbringing was, simply put, raised by a single mother. My father died when I was 1. My father died by way of drug use. He actually nodded off and fell asleep behind the wheel, man, and had a car accident in Washington, D.C. So grew up, single parent, my older brother, and my younger sister. And basically my mom's, because of my father's death and him being who he was, the pillar of the family, she struggled tremendously and ended up falling into drug use as well. So, I basically lost my mother to that. Lost my brother to the streets. My brother, by the permission of, God, he got out of it now. But, lost my brother to the streets. So I pretty much had to raise myself, me and my little sister. And, I grew up in that upbringing, which ultimately caused me to start using drugs at a young age and being out in the streets at a young age, and at the age of 12, actually, to be exact, in middle school. And which ultimately my drug and alcohol use led to me being involved in a crime that another young man lost his life. And I was sentenced and charged. I was sentenced with first-degree murder and life plus 15 years in prison.
And what age was this?
I was actually 17 going on 18 when the situation occurred. I was 19 by the time I completed my court hearings and everything like that for that whole year. And pretty much everything I wrapped up, I got found guilty and, was sent to prison for life at the age of 19.
And was this the first time this was your first time going to prison?
This is my first time going to prison. I had been to the juvenile, detention center that we have out here in Maryland, one of them that we have out here in Maryland one time. Which was, something I talk about in all of my talks of how the juvenile centers and facilities, they basically desensitize a young person, to become not afraid of going to jail anymore. So I went to a juvenile center once, and then, when I was in my teenage years, I ended up getting locked up again. I had to go to a jail or county detention center in PG County.
Right. So the first time you going inside of a prison, it's life without.
Yeah, life with life plus 15 years. I had parole, but life plus 15 years. But in the state of Maryland, so here's an interesting thing for anybody who's on here listening, and they would know this, is that in the state of Maryland, life meant life, even if you had parole, if you had a parolable sentence, right? In the state of Maryland, life meant life. So it didn't matter if you went up for parole or not, because the governor had to sign off on it. And we just got that rescinded in this state, where it no longer has to
Oh
go in the governor's
no.
hands.
So wait a minute. So even if you had life with the possibility before you even get out, the government had to say, "Ah, yeah, you can get out."
Yeah, so it had to go through a process of the parole board. If the parole board recommended you, then it would go to the governor's desk, and the governor had the final say so. The governor of the state of Maryland. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's crazy. So you going? What's your mindset? What's your thoughts going in 19, life plus 15?
Oh man, my mindset was at that particular time in my life, and I tell everybody, my journey of redemption started early. It started at sentencing. It started the day that I had to see two mothers, both going through unimaginable, unexplainable pain. One lost her son, and I had to sit there and listen to this mother talk about how the loss of her son affected her. So right then and there, I got a chance to see the ripple effects of, the ramifications of my actions right there, right? And so my journey started there. So when I got into the prison, after seeing my mother cry and beg the court not to give me life, and my family just devastated, because they wanted better for me. Naturally, they didn't want me to go through that process. By the time I got to prison, man, I was focused on changing my life. I was in a whole nother headspace, man. That sentencing did something to me. The trial did something to me too, but the sentencing really did something to me, man. It hit me in a place that I can't even explain, and it caused me to be on a path, man, to like, man, this I have to change my life.
And so, did you take it to trial, or was the trial a forced play?
Well, I took it to trial because no doubt about it, man, I wasn't guilty of what they were accusing me of. So I wanted to go to trial and prove my innocence. But young back then, which is another part of my story, which I share often with individuals. At that particular time, I was reading on probably like a 5th or 6th grade level. I could barely read or write. I had dropped out of school. I got put out of school and then dropped out of school, and didn't have a family structure to keep me in school. So I was in the streets. And I didn't
Right.
understand, my rights. I didn't understand, the trial process. I had never been to a trial before, and that's something that happens to young black men all the time, and young black women, is that when we go to these proceedings, we don't have a clue or an idea of what we're dealing with.
No, we don't. We really don't. And so, man, I'm just thinking of you go to trial, because I went to trial. Yeah, I went to trial, and yeah, I lost. And I got 19 years. That's what they gave me, 19 years. Missouri Department of Correction, 23 years old. And so I know what it's like to go to trial and lose, but I don't know what it's like to be walking inside the institution with life plus 15 years, 19 years old,
Yeah.
and not knowing what you're facing. But I can understand at sentencing phase where you started to see and the transformation from the hurt. Because like I was telling you earlier, I've been to prison 5 times. So my last prison trip was the federal government, and they handed me a piece of paper with all these charges. But I wasn't tripping off the charges. I was tripping off, it said the United States of America versus Cardell Sims. And that's kind of right then and there is where I made my oath, like, okay, this is it. So from this point on, I'm going to be better than I was standing here at this present moment whenever I get released. I didn't know when I was getting out, because this is when I first called the case. They handed me the indictment, and that was it. But that was where people always say, well, where did you make your transformation? I say that was my transformation stage right there, because it was something about that Cardell Sims versus United States of America that asked me, why do I keep finding myself in this situation? And the only answer I could come up with at that present moment was, is you. You the reason why you running in and out of prison. And so from that point on, off of seeing that paper, is where I said, I got to change. I got to do something different. Whenever I get released, I'm going to be better. And so I can understand that as well. So you're going in, you're 19 years old. What was it like walking in prison for the first time?
Oh man, my first week was oh man. So this is a part of the story that I tell whenever I'm doing speaking engagements and I'm trying to get people to understand, what lived experience, is, and how impactful and effective it could be, just sharing these stories to the, to young people that's, involved in this type of situation that we've got ourselves in. But man, when I walked in there my first week, man, I went into a place called the Maryland House of Corrections Annex. If you look it up, you'll find out that the Maryland House of Corrections was the most notorious prison for violence in the state of Maryland. We're talking about, people getting stabbed 2-3 times a day, dying. We're talking about officers getting stabbed, once or twice, 3 times, 4 times throughout the week sometime. I mean, depending upon what's going on, no exaggeration. I mean, it's all documented. You can look it up. This is one of the worst prisons in the United States of America at that particular time. So I walked in there, man, knowing all of this, I was immediately, man, on God. You know what I'm saying? And my first day in the dining room, first day in the dining hall, my cellmate was a good brother. He gave me a piece of advice because I went out by myself. He said, look, man, we pretty much, walk together. We go out together, man. He said, man, so when you go into the line, he said, make sure, man, you at the end of the line. He said, don't be in the middle. You know what I'm saying? And try not to get caught up in the front. He said, man, be at the end of the line. So I'm like, all right, cool. I took his advice. I let everybody go before me. I walked slow, got into the dining room. Man, the last 2 people to come in there behind me, I thought I was the last individual. The last 2 people to come in from behind me, it was a young guy and an older guy. The young guy pulled out a knife, no exaggeration, man. This knife is probably about as big as my forearm, and started stabbing, the older guy. And I'll never forget it, man. It was so traumatic even to this day, because now me being a trauma-informed peer support specialist, me understanding the significance about mental health and, how trauma affects individuals. And that's something, again, that I'm highly a strong proponent in talking about. But I remember hearing not only the screams of this individual, but also hearing the knife go through his jean jacket, because it was in January, it was wintertime. So I remember hearing the knife shred through his jean jacket as the individual was stabbing him right behind me. The blood, what I'm saying, how the officers came over there and ran over there. You know what I'm saying? One of the officers, she was a veteran, and she told the rookie officers, back up, let him finish. She said, don't involve yourself, let him finish. And she said, let me know when you're done. I'm not gonna spray you with the mace, just let me know when you're done. We're not coming over there till you're done, because the knife was so long that they feared, getting stabbed.
Man, they should not go ahead, man. That's crazy.
I mean, like, real. That was my first experience in prison. No exaggeration.
And you're in the max.
I was in the max. And then I got sent to a super max because they closed down the Maryland House of Corrections because they killed an officer and wounded another. They closed the prison down. The Governor Martin O'Malley closed the prison down. That flooded the system. So all the lifers end up getting sent to a super max facility, where I stayed there for 10 years under conditions of 22 hours in a cell, 2 days out.
And how did you keep the hope? What drove you to continue the transformation up under these conditions?
A bunch of things, man. It's nuance, no doubt about it. But I mean, and then I'm not sitting here saying like there was no time that I didn't ever have that thought in my mind that I would never get out of prison. As the years kept going on and appeals got denied, and things started happening, I mean, I definitely, I thought I would never make it out of there, no doubt about it. There were times that it happened, but I would say it was my faith. You know what I'm saying? I am a Muslim. I'm a Sunni Muslim. It was my faith. It was also encouraging to see that, there were other individuals that were getting out as well. I would see that from time to time. Other individuals get their time back. And then I had a lot of good, strong men around me who had been in longer than me, but for some reason, man, they tried to instill in me hope, I guess, that, they either wanted me to have or just, felt like they didn't have, so they wanted to instill it in somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So along with those individuals and then my thirst for knowledge and education, I came in ignorant. I wanted to learn, so I started to educate myself, and I started to learn that, many different skills. One of the skill sets and things that I, I guess you would say, I don't want to say I mastered, but I think I did pretty well in it. And that was being able to understand my condition and my environment around me, and that it didn't control me, that I can live outside of it. I can take my mind and I can live outside of it. So it was a very, very beautiful book. I'm sure many people have read it in prison, but the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Dr. Viktor Frankl. And I came across that book by reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Those two books helped me to understand the significance of conditioning, at the same time perception or paradigm as we know it, and how you can make that paradigm shift and that paradigm change in your perspective and how you see things. And so I started to see my prison condition when I was in North Branch in the Supermax in the mountains, you know what I'm saying, around individuals who were, you know, definitely on some slavery times. To be 100% honest, it's the worst prison in the state of Maryland. You know, they call you nigga in your face, they spit on you, they done all types of stuff. Yeah, brother, they done all types of stuff, no exaggeration. And they're investigating them now, you know, trying to get down to some of that stuff. But being in that environment, I started to really understand, like, look, I can either be just like how Victor was when he was in the Nazi death camps, allow that to affect me, or I can take myself outside of it and rise above it. And that's what I chose to do. I sat in my cell and I studied. I read, I prayed, I educated myself, I meditated, I prayed. You know, I tried to do the things to cultivate myself. And I always, you know, kept pushing on working on getting out.
And before prison, was you involved in the Muslim faith?
So I had family members who were, so Islam was around me at a young age, but I never accepted it. And I didn't know anything about it, or cared to know anything about it, because of, you know, just the state of mind that I was in at that age.
And how important was that for your growth on the inside?
Oh man, it was everything. It was everything. So I'll tell you the story, man. My mentor and the brother who helped me when I came in, he's out right now. He was an exoneree in the state of Maryland. Him and his brother, they got exonerated. But this brother, he had natural life. That's the sentence he was given. He was given the sentence of natural life. You know, they told him he would die in prison, quite frankly. That's it. And he's an exoneree now. His case was overturned after 26 years and was proven innocent, you know, and was exonerated completely. But my brother wrote him a letter. And he asked him, he said, man, my little brother's coming in. I don't want him to get caught up, man, in prison. Man, can you teach him? Can you mentor him? And this brother, I didn't know this brother. He's from Baltimore. I'm from the DC area. You know, two different cities, 2 different towns, 2 different everything. You know, he didn't let the geographical stuff get involved. He didn't let anything get involved. He came to me as a brother. He pulled me up and he mentored me from the first day I came in that jail. And I believe, honestly, man, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have succeeded as far as I got when I was in there.
Yeah, because I know with the Muslim faith, I when I was in prison, when I first went to prison, I rotated with the Moorish Science Temple, and just on the knowledge itself, that's what drew me in, the knowledge itself. So from that point on, I always maneuvered through the Muslim faith, through Islam, because it always pushed me to elevate through knowledge, through research, you know. And so just for me, I know the importance of being grounded in, because a lot of people, when you know, outside of us, when you hear about the Muslim, you kind of hear a bad connotation, or if you didn't have, like, I didn't have no families that was Muslim. So, you know, my family grew up in the church, so they, you know, you know how they are. You know how they are. You know how that go. And you know what I'm saying? But I stood firm in that. Because it helped me grow while I was on the inside, and rotating with the brothers, they kept me on point. Yeah. They ain't let me slide off into anything. Next thing you know, they put me in positions, and I didn't realize this until later on in my life, that they put me in positions that was grooming me with structure, with knowledge, with discipline. And it didn't hit me till later on in life. I still utilized this. I was a muftee, I was the chairman, I was the sheik, you know, and they groomed me for that. In the positions that I run today, I look back like, man, I used to do this in the temple.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
That's the same way I be out here, man. I'm the program manager for the peer programming in my organization, Rectify, man. And that's how I feel, man. Often thinking about the things or the skills and the skill sets that I learned when I was in going through the community, and I definitely identify with that 100%. I don't know what happened. Technology. Yeah, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you. There we
All
go.
right. What about now?
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. My bad, man. We were just talking about this technical difficulties,
Technical
man.
difficulties, man.
Oh man, this is crazy. But yeah, we
Yeah.
back. That's my bad. I apologize to everyone tuned in. But no doubt, man. So yeah, so I understand that, the structure and things and being incarcerated. Because when like I said, I've been in 19 years. Kind of like similar situation with you. The prison I went in, the worst prison in Missouri. It was called the Walls. They had a sign when you went through receiving. They had a sign. It was written in red letters. It said, "Leave all your hopes and dreams behind." That's what it said. I'm 23 years old, going in with a 19-year sentence. Same reputation, same prison, same reputation. Known for stabbing, called 48 bloodiest acres. That's what they call it. It was crazy. Racially divided. Um, and Man, I walked, and just like I just took the mentality of I just want to make it home. I got to make it out of here. Do some people in there, and this is one of the prison, but your people, they take you to the library, be like, here, man, start giving you all these thick books. Like, what's going on? Like, man, hey, this is your bulletproof vest. You gotta have it on, and then they start teaching you, like, you go in the child, because you go in the child, there used to be a duck off hole, and like when you go to child, you make sure you all the way to round it so you can look, or if you're going to certain things, you had to take the wide approaches to try to cut the corner short. So I understand that, but when I got involved with the temple, they put me on. I started had stuff to do with my time, because prior to that, I wasn't doing nothing but fighting, playing basketball. I was gelling. And the old head, he pulled me up. He was like, "Look, Johnson, you ain't gonna make it out here alive like that. Once you come on to the temple and know something about yourself." Like, man, but I
Yeah.
know I know everything I need to know. But it was the best thing. But I'm glad I did go. So that what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that was great. Um, and so you in here, you got Life Plus 15. You with the temple. You know what I'm saying. You got your faith, strong faith community, but you keep getting denied on getting out. How does that take a toll on you?
Oh man, it does something to you every time, right? Because you get this high and this low. You get this high because you're so hopeful, man, that I put together a good argument this time. The petition is tight. I got a good, legal team. They arguing for me or whatever that it may be. You get your family, they're hopeful. This time gonna be the time, baby. And that's something my mother would say. May Allah have mercy on her soul, man. But she passed away when I was in there, and it's something she would
Mm,
say. This gonna be the next time, baby. We're gonna get it this one. You coming home, or she was extremely hopeful always. And she would always tell me, man, you're not gonna stay in there forever. You're doing too good. You know what I'm saying? This was just, you had to come here to get yourself together, like. And so she would speak in those terms. But man, when you lose that appeal, brother, you go back to that cell. And when I had to go back to that cell, man, you just sit, and you just think, like, what could I've done? What else could I have done? Should I have did it this way? Should I not put that in there? Maybe it was too much case law added to it. Maybe it was too much legal jargon. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe my
Right.
lawyer, he didn't argue it that way. And you know what I'm saying? And you get into that moment of, man, is it really going to happen? Will I get out? You know what I'm saying? And it hits you in your gut, man. It's like it hits you in the pit of your gut, man. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it seep down into a person's soul. And I seen at times where it definitely seeped down in mine, but others, man, couldn't stand it. They would hang it up. I seen guys kill themselves because of, having that life sentence, man, and not being able to get that time back. Family passing away and time going, kids growing up, you know what I'm saying, and all this type of stuff, man. And it just caused them to completely lose hope, man. And they give all the way up,
Right.
So yeah, I didn't want to be that. I didn't have that in me to kill myself. That wasn't going to happen. But yeah, it was tough. It was
It
tough,
was stuff.
man. It was a high and
Right.
lows, man. I'm tell you, highs and lows, ups and downs, highs and lows.
And then you lose your mother during the
Yeah.
process as well. You
Yeah.
know. So when you start seeing when the daylight start to break, when you see your crack of daylight, what
My
was
crack
something
of
that happened
daylight.
that was
So
like, man, okay, it's a little crack.
so I'll tell you, man, this is exactly what happened. This is exactly what happened, brother. Here's the short version of it. In 2012, I was coming up in the state of Maryland. You have 10 years to file a post conviction. In the state of Maryland, that's the deadline. Also in the state of Maryland, which is unique to us and a few other states, is that you have a mandatory hearing, meaning you are entitled to come before a judge and put on a whole new, basically, case. You know what I'm saying? Arguing that, man, the prosecutor wronged me, or there was some ineffective assistance of counsel, or something, some type of constitutional violation or whatever. You have the right to come back to court and do that hearing. So I was preparing for that hearing, and I didn't have no money. My brother had just came home, and he was like, brother, I don't have much I can do for you, man. I'm just getting out here myself. I'm trying to get myself together. He said, man, put your trust in God and file that petition, man, and you'll get a public defender that's going to work with you. Don't be afraid. I took his advice, I prayed on it, and I filed that petition. I filed my petition 1 week before my deadline. A petition that me and a brother who I talked to today for the first time since I've been home. His name was Abris X. Abris Morrison. He's a lifer. He's still in the state of Maryland, been locked up for over 30 years. And this man helped me formulate all the issues for my case in this particular petition that I did. And I put that petition in a week before my deadline, and I received a response back from a lawyer in the public defender's office in the state of Maryland, in the post-conviction division. His name was James Nichols. And I'm so grateful and indebted to this individual. And we're still good friends to this day. We're colleagues now because I actually work for the office of the public defender and in the state of Maryland. And he took my case in 2012, brother. And he held on to my case until 2021 when I was released. 2022 when I was released.
Oh
He fought
wow.
my case for all that time, man. And he took my case. And the first letter he wrote me, we were on a lockdown because it was a riot in the jail. We were on a lockdown, and he wrote me a letter, and I'll never forget it. He said, Mr. Perry, the first thing he said in his letter was, Mr. Perry, I think you have a winnable case. He
And
said,
and,
Mr. Perry, I
and,
think you have a winnable case. And that was it. That was
and
enough to give me the spot.
how big was the smile across your face?
Oh, brother. Again, you know what I'm saying? Brother, true story, man. This is all facts. That morning, I woke up to make my morning prayer, as I used to all the time. Every morning, I made my morning prayer and I cried out to God, literally tears coming down my face, asking God to give me some type of assistance, some type of help, some type of sign, something. And I woke
Right.
up, you know what I'm saying, from a nap later that afternoon when they gave us mail at 4 o'clock, and that letter was slid under my door. And that's what it said. Mr. Perry, I think you got a winnable case.
That's all I need. That's all you need to hear,
That's it. That's
man.
it.
And
That's
so
it.
now the light, the crack of dawn done kicked in. So
Yeah.
what's it like preparing for from that point on?
Oh man, from that point on, again, it was up and down because it took us a long time to be able to formulate the argument for that case, and we were successful. You know what I'm saying? But it took us a long time because we had a lot of prosecutorial misconduct in my case. So we had to go back and we had to get transcripts and we had to get evidence and we had to speak to witnesses and we had to go back and do a lot of investigative work. So it was a process. You know what I'm saying? It was a process. So it was, again, it was that high and that low. It was every time we would reach some type of point where we thought we were good in the case, we would then get smacked with something else that'd be like, nah, y'all ain't ready yet.
Mm. And what is that feeling inside of every smack?
Every smack, man, that feeling was just like I said, like a punch to the gut, man. You know what I'm saying? Something that just hit you. It just hit you like, man, and then you get a little nervous. You know what I'm saying? You get a little nervous and anxious, and you know what I'm saying? And it dampers your hope. It dampers the light. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to pick yourself back up. I mean, for every individual who's ever been in a situation where you're in those situations like that, you got to pick yourself back up. For everyone who's overcome it and survived it, anyone who's overcome anything, any struggle in life, right? That was tough. We all know what that's
Right.
like. You know what I'm saying? To get hit and then you got to pick yourself back up. And you know what that feel like every time. It's tough. It takes a lot out of you. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot of strength. That shows the resilience of the human being and of the person, but it takes a lot of strength. And that's what I had to do every time in my 20s. And I was in my 20s as I was going through this. And at a young age, I had to do it every time. And it prepared me.
And,
I definitely believe it prepared me for what I'm doing right now and my life out here in society.
and what year was this? As far as your incarceration years, what years were these?
So these years was I got locked up. I went into the Maryland House of Corrections Annex in 2003. And from 2003 to 2009, I stayed in the Maryland House of Corrections Annex until they transferred us all to Western Maryland, to Cumberland. And I stayed there from 2010 until 2021. And they sent me back to Jessup. And that's why I left in 2022 when I was
I,
released.
I think Lisa Johnson's speech life says it best. We fall down, but we get back up.
That's right. That's right.
Man.
That's
So
right.
usually, I got a question because I didn't know this. Why Jessup got all them prisons and jails down that road like that?
Yeah. Yeah. You said why?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh
crazy.
man. Oh man. But no, you saw Jessup. You haven't saw Western Maryland in what's it called, Washington County in Hagerstown. It's the same way. They get called Roxbury Road, and on that road you have nothing but prisons going down the road. Three major institutions and a pre-release.
Mm,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So you get released from prison after doing how many years?
I did 20 years altogether. 20 years, 78 days.
20 years, 7. Go in as a teenager, come out as a almost 40 years old.
Yeah, I was 40. Yep. No, I was
But
39. Excuse me. I was 39. I just turned 40 this year.
so what was it like, man? We talking about 20 years. It's a big difference between 2003 and
Yeah.
2023. What was that like coming out into the world of
Man.
what the world is to now?
Yeah, man. It's been a learning experience. I mean, the best way I can say it, man. But I'm gonna tell you this, man, and like I know, what I'm saying. For anybody who's did a long stretch of time in prison, coming out here and seeing some of the things that our people out here that's been in society and never been through incarceration, some of the things that they are concerned about are things that don't concern us. These things don't phase us. We're able to get through those things and those challenges, what I'm saying, at remarkable rates and speed because we done been through stuff way worse than that. Also, our gratitude is at a certain level. Like I come to work every day, my colleagues, we joke about it all the time. I might come in the morning, man, smile at everybody, man. ready to see everybody, ready to get the day going, and they might be like, "You too happy to,
Yeah,
calm down.
yeah,
You
they've
too
been
happy."
doing it for a minute.
And I'm
Yeah.
and I'm telling them like, y'all just don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like every day I'm happy. You just don't know what I've been through and what I overcame and what I, had to do to get here. So for me, every day is a blessing, man. I'm happy.
Most
Big smile on my
definitely.
face everywhere I go. I'm look when people upset about, traffic and sitting in the traffic, I'm sitting there chilling. you
Man,
know?
chilling. Man, you know how many days I've been thinking about I can sit out, just get stuck
Yeah,
on the traffic.
yeah. Exactly,
Man,
exactly.
but man,
Long lines, you know what I'm saying? Long lines. I'm okay. I'm
most
okay with
definitely.
waiting. We had to wait a long time, man. That's one of the things
'Cause
prison teach you is patience, man.
as I was about to say, one thing one thing you gonna learn in prison, it is patience. That you ain't on your
That's right.
time. You
That's
know,
right.
you know what I'm saying. You got to
That's
be
right, man.
whatever it comes, it comes. I was just
That's
talking
right.
this with some guys on my Facebook. When I was in Leavenworth, working out, I always get sent to the bad prisons. It seemed like with my federal bill, I got sent to Leavenworth, United States, the USP,
Woo.
and
Yeah.
I was in the worst unit, and they used to go to child off your unit rating. Man, our unit used to go to child last I was on Facebook talking with some guys. I was like, man, we used to go to child last every week, every week. I was like,
Yeah.
man, they used to just do us. So let's talk about the major work and the things that you're doing now that you're out.
Yeah, man. So, um, serendipitous story, man. Heartbreaking, but at the same time, it was beautiful. So in 2021, when I got sent back down to Jessup, uh, there were 58 deaths, man, from January to April of 2021.
Mm,
It ranged from homicide, suicide, overdose, and medical negligence in that institution. Excuse me. And what we did was, one of my friends, unfortunately, he had passed away. He was a juvenile lifer. He ingested something, man, and he died in his cell from an overdose. And it was during the month of Ramadan, man. So it really hit me, real hard, man. That the brother, he died in that state in that month, and he had gave up hope. So we got together, man. It was a new social worker who just came into the institution, and me and one of my brothers who had started a program called Men in Transition Towards Success while we were locked down in Cumberland at the Supermax facility. We started a program up there that was real successful in gang emancipation and helping guys to get ready for court and parole and helping guys to get ready to go in and just advocate for themselves when it came to classification hearings and stuff like that. And we basically just bumped into each other, said, man, we got to do something. You know what I'm saying? Too many young brothers in here dying, man. I mean, the drugs is crushing them. And so what we did was, man, we put together a mutual support group. We had her get us trained as facilitators of Smart Recovery. Shout out to Smart Recovery, to Pete and everybody there, man. Shout out to Joe and everybody at Smart Recovery, Lloyd Hammer and all of them, man. They did us wonderful, man. They made sure that we had everything that we needed to get that program jumped off, and we did all of it by ourselves. So we got a mutual support groups going on, got the warden to buy in it. That at that particular time, we started doing 20 men on every wing. So we were servicing 500 men a week in that institution doing that. And from there, we were
mm,
able to get the Department of Labor to reinstitute peer recovery specialist training. So they got the funding for us, trained all 40 of us as peer recovery specialists. And I was the first one to get out. I was one of the leaders in that program. I helped to organize it. I helped to coordinate the program. I was one of the facilitators, and I was the first one to get out. And so
mm.
when I got out of there, that kind of like caused individuals to want to ask me about the program because we had so much success. It's still successful. I mean, it's still having a great success rate down there. And so they wanted to talk to me about it. So I started doing speaking engagements, talking about my lived experience as a peer recovery specialist, peer intervention, and how it can be of benefit to individuals in incarcerated settings. And from there, we started the first conference that I spoke at was for Smart Recovery. The second one I spoke at was for the AATOD, which is, I forgot what those acronyms stand for, but it's the American Association for Opioid, I think Abuse or something like that. We did a conference for them in Baltimore. And then after that, Nora Volkar of NIDA, she invited me to speak there, and it's just been on the road ever since, man. Just sharing, with individuals about lived experience, man, in incarceration and peer intervention and a whole host of things. And so I started an organization called Rectify, and my organization is a trauma-informed peer support reentry program. So we're peer land, peer read, led, excuse me. And basically, what we focus on is combining both the mental health elements along with the reentry elements that are needed. So we're connecting people to mental health sources, resources, therapists, you know what I'm saying, counselors, whoever that it may be, because we know post-incarceration syndrome is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I still go to therapy even now to this day, you
I
know,
do
because of
too.
the trauma. Yeah,
I've been going,
yeah,
I've been out just 6 years. I've been out 6 years. And man, I've been going to therapy about 5.5, at least 5.5.
yeah, because yeah, I
Important
mean,
though. I
it's
fight
stuff
for
you
it.
experience.
Yeah, when I go inside, when I'm on the inside and I'm doing the tour or I'm teaching my class, 'cause I got programs as well that I run on the inside. I run one physically in Missouri and I run one virtually in Arizona. So when I'm talking to my classes and stuff like that, that's one thing I stress is mental health. Make sure
Yeah,
you get you a therapist. Because a lot of times it's not just about what we went through while we're incarcerated. It's some of the things before incarcerating that you have to deal with. And then
yeah,
you got a lot of things on the back end. So it's a lot of things, me
yeah,
personally had to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Things in my childhood growing up, things that I seen in prison, witnessed in prison, being in the hole, like you saying, seeing people get stabbed, uh, guards getting beat to death with clock pots in the line you down. I mean, you see a lot of things. And then afterwards, like one thing about me with my therapy was um my communication. Like I got children. I missed a lot of graduations because of prison. Younger sons. I got sons incarcerated right now. I spend a lot of. But one of the things was like I'm trying to rebuild and repair relationships because I was the type when I get incarcerated, I ain't tripping on what's going on outside. I kind of shut everything out outside out, and I'm locked in surviving. I'm locked in jail. So what happened was that messed up my communication, not only with my children, but now it's hard for me to communicate with my grandchildren. And so it has been a fight for me until my counselor, my therapist broke it down to me because I can be looking at the phone to call my grandson and FaceTime, but I would never actually push the button to FaceTime. I don't know. I didn't know what was stopping me. I don't know what you know what I'm saying. But talking to my therapist, she broke it down to me. She's like, yeah, that comes from being incarcerated, blocking everybody out, and now you're trying to build relationship with people, and you don't even know how to start trying to build that relationship. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. If I would have never knew that, whether without me having my therapist and without me taking my mental health seriously, I would have never had no therapist. So I preach that all the time.
yeah,
That's very
yeah,
important to me. Now I know, I know I got a good fit for you on the tour. Definitely going to need you in there talking about that, most definitely.
yeah,
But yeah, man, I appreciate the work that you're out here doing. I see you on LinkedIn. I see you here. I see you there. In some big and important events. I see the fight for the cause with the juveniles, the lifers, and doing all the fight in that field because, a lot of times when we're talking about reentry and we're talking about reform, one of the biggest things that most people overlook, unless you've been in them after situations in them shoes, is the juvenile lifers. And I'm hearing here more lately. I've been running to more and more people that's in that advocate and in that field and was a part of that. And it's a lot of important work that's been done and that you all continue to do, man. I salute you on that.
yeah.
Um,
Appreciate it, bro. And I'm gonna tell you, man.
uh,
When I was in prison, right, there was a man who came in. His name was Tyrone Parker. He does a lot of work in Washington D.C. area. He said to us, man, one day I never forget it. He said, "You once were the problem." He said, "But brother, now you are the solution." He said, "Man, we need you. We need your knowledge. We need your experience. We need your expertise." He said, "Because the generation that's coming behind you, we need to know better how to serve them and keep them from coming in a situation that you fell into. And we can only do that by way of the knowledge and expertise and understanding that you have." And that has been, pushing me and fueling me since I've been out here. And that's why I'm so, vocal about informing people when we're making decisions about criminal justice reform in any shape, form, or fashion. You got to have some voices of lived experience there. You got to have some people that
You
went through it
got
when we're
to.
talking about changing laws and policy and all of these things like this. You got to have us in there. You got to have us in the room. You got to have us at the table. You know what I'm saying? Because what we have is a value, no doubt about it.
That's right. Most definitely. So that's why we saying this reentry looks like us now.
Yeah.
It has to look like us.
Yeah.
Because we coming from that with a new wave. We prepared, you know what I'm saying? We prepared ourselves for this. Unknowingly and knowingly. We prepared ourselves for this. And I think it's time for them to give us our turn now. Like I've said earlier, you know, I've been in and out of prison since 2000. What's this? 2023, 2000. I caught my first case 1999. I got probation. They let me right back out. I was right back to it. Caught some more cases. Lost in trial the beginning end of 2002.
Wow.
I got to 19 years. I've been running in and out of prison. And like I said, all these years, I've seen a lot of some programs. I see no programs. I see a lot of other programs. But the recidivism rate has shot down. You know, I think now, and this is what I fight hard for, because in my network is majority successful formerly incarcerated people that's been impacted by the justice system, changed their life around, made great transformations. People like me, people like you. I see people like Miss Precious Hicks is on here as well. There's a lot of different people who done been through the fire. We came out, we doing amazing things, and I think it takes us to go back in, because for one, we already got the relationship. We already been through it. We got we got the keys. You know what I'm saying? We got the keys, and I think it's on us to go back in there and basically open the gates up, give them and prepare them for as far as release just in there. But once they get out, we already out here for you. We waiting on.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? It's a big community. It's a big family of it. That's why I tell the dudes, the guys on here all the time, like, man, when you come out, connect with me, because it's a whole bunch of us. This ain't nothing new, man. There's a whole bunch of us out here doing some great things. All you got to do is come in, be serious, want that change, want that transformation, want something for yourself, and fit right. Slide right on in. There's a lot of us in 50 states. We everywhere. All you got to do, we ain't hard to find. And I think that's what it's going to take. So, man, again, I salute you on your work. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and you fresh out 2021. So you got the new ideas. You get the ground running. I love it. I always ask my guests the same question on each episode, and it's the last question, is if you have one word to describe your journey, what would that one word be, and why?
One word to describe my journey, and what would it be and why? Oh man. Okay. So I guess for me, I would say, man, remorse. This is the one word, man, describes my journey, man. Like I told you, it started at sentencing. It started with that deep remorse, brother. Understanding that, you know, what I did was irrevocably wrong, and understanding I got to spend the rest of my days making up for it. So that's what fuels me. That's what pushes me. You know, my heart is in it. My passion is, you know what I'm saying, 100% intact. You know, I'm doing it for all the right reasons, man. I don't want to see another mother have to cry, you know what I'm saying, because she lost her child. You know, I don't want to see another brother, you know what I'm saying, have to go to prison and find himself there when the solutions are out here with us. So yeah.
Remorse. So how can the people get in contact you? They want to book you and anything. How can they contact you?
Man, you can get in contact with me by way of my Instagram, which is rectify_MD. You can also reach me by way of my LinkedIn, which is my name, Desmond Haneef Perry, CPRS. And, you know, if an individual would like to look at my website, they can easily book me there, www.rectifymd.org. We're always looking for connections. We're always looking, you know, to come out and do anything for the community and help in any way. And anybody who has someone in the state of Maryland, a family member that needs connection to reentry sources, you know, please seek us out.
Mm. And there you go. And again, that's www.rectifymd.org. That's the website. I'm going to put the website on here so everyone can see it. Then also that's at Instagram, rectify_MD, and Mr.
That's it.
Desmond Perry on LinkedIn. That's how you can get a hold and find you. Mr. Perry, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing your story, your journey. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. Like I said, we're going to tour. If you know some dates come up and you want to come on, it's open for you. We would love to have you on and get in there and do your workshop and share your story. I know you will impact and touch a lot of individuals on the inside. So thanks again for joining the Reentry Journey podcast. And like I said, reach out to me. Let's see what we can come up with, how we can connect and work on some things together, because I'm always open for it.
Yeah, that's just the beginning, brother. Salute to you, man, and everything that you're doing, man. 100% inspiring, like I said, man. Strong, brother.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. Thanks again, and salute right back to you. Like I said, thanks for coming on the Reentry Journey. This is another episode, and for those of y'all tuning in, we appreciate you all tuning in, and join us on the next episode. I'm coming back soon. We're coming back. Stay in touch with me. Stay in touch with Mr. Perry. Check out the work that he's doing, and connect with him as well. We all need to connect in this. We one big family. We make sure we stay connected. So until the next time, this is the Reentry Journey. I am your host, Cardell Sims. And remember, don't let the limitations of your background reduce the height of your potential. Outgrow what you were born into. This is the Reentry Journey. Cardell Sims. The Reentry Journey. What would be one word to describe this journey?
Heartache.
Enriching.
Gratitude.
Unapologeticness.
Hope.
Elevating. Passion.
Resilience.
I say transformation.
Determination.
Intention. My word is compassion.
Rebirth.
Intentional.
It's bigger than just walking down your probation and parole. It's changing your mindset,